Okay, so we're going to dive into this incredible story from legal history. It honestly plays out like a political thriller, but it's all built around one very strange question.
I mean, that sounds completely impossible, doesn't it? But this exact question, it sparked a huge showdown in the Philippines, a case that really gets to the heart of what a law even is and where its power truly comes from. So let's set the scene. Our story starts in Manila, back in 1964, with this political fight between two really powerful guys that ends up going all the way to the top.
Can you just imagine this? The entire city is in this state of confusion because its own mayor is publicly telling everyone, hey, that new law, just ignore it. He's basically calling it a fake, which, as you can guess, created total chaos.
Now, who benefits from this law? Well, it's the vice mayor, Herminio Astorga. He's looking at the document, he sees all the official signatures, and he thinks this is legit. So he sues the mayor to get the powers he believes are his, and just like
But right as this legal fight is getting started, a shocking piece of information comes out from Congress itself, and it changes absolutely everything. Okay, so this is how a simple paperwork mistake created what's basically a phantom law. The House passes a bill. It goes to the Senate. The Senate says, yeah, we'll pass it, but we're going to add a bunch of major changes first. The problem? Someone messed up. The version that got printed and sent to the president for his signature was the original one without any of the Senate's changes.
And then the senator who actually wrote those amendments, Arturo Tolentino, he just drops this bombshell in a press statement. He goes public and says, yeah, that law everyone's fighting about, it's a fake. He completely confirms what the mayor suspected all along. And this is where it gets really wild. The very people whose signatures made the bill look official are now backtracking hard. The Senate president sends a letter saying his own signature is invalid and of no effect, and then the president of the Philippines officially takes back his signature too. They essentially unsigned the law. This puts the Supreme Court in a really tough spot. You know, when the officially signed document says one thing, but the official record of what happened says something totally different, which one do you believe? I mean, that's the dilemma, right? On one hand, you have a physical piece of paper with all the right seals, all the right signatures. But on the other hand, you've got the official minutes from the Senate, the journal, that tells a completely different story. So the court had to pick between two competing legal ideas to figure this whole thing out. All right, so first up is what's called the enrolled bill doctrine. And this basically just means the signed copy is the final word, period. The idea is that the court should respect the other branches of government. They shouldn't be digging around in Congress's paperwork. If the leader signed it, you gotta trust they got it right. But then you have the opposing idea, the journal entry rule. This one argues that the real truth is in the official minutes, the journal, which the Constitution actually requires them to keep. So if the signed bill and the journal don't match, the journal is what counts. And this table just lays out the conflict perfectly. Do you trust the finality of the signed document, even though you know a mistake could become law? Or do you trust the detailed play-by-play in the journal, even though that could have errors too? Both have risks. So how did the Supreme Court get out of this mess? Well, they didn't just flip a coin. They found one crucial piece of evidence in the case that just broke the whole deadlock. This right here was the game changer. The court's logic was kind of brilliant. They said, hold on, the whole point of the enrolled bill rule is to trust the official certification. But in this case, the guy who did the certifying, the Senate president, is publicly screaming that his certification is worthless. How can the court trust the signature when the person who signed it says not to? And the court put it so powerfully. They made it clear they were not going to let some procedural rule get in the way of what was obviously true. To force this law into effect, in their own words, would be to sacrifice truth to fiction. Wow. So let's just walk through their thinking step by step. First, that signature gets invalidated. That just blows the whole enrolled bill rule out of the water. Which means, boom, now they're free to look at other evidence, like the Senate journal. And what does the journal show? Yep, it confirms the whole mistake. The conclusion from there was pretty inescapable. And just like that, the phantom law vanished. The Supreme Court ruled that Republic Act 4065 was never really a law to begin with. The vice mayor's case was denied, and the mayor's bold act of defiance was proven right in the end.
So, okay, it's a fascinating story from the 1960s, but why are we talking about it now? Why is this case still so important for anyone who cares about how governments work?
Well, it's this huge reminder that the process is what matters. A law isn't a law just because it has a fancy signature on it. It's a law because it went through all the correct steps. It's a perfect example of checks and balances in action, showing that courts can and will step in to fix even the biggest mistakes to protect the integrity of the whole system.
And it leaves us with this pretty deep question, doesn't it? Where does a law's real power actually come from? Is it from the powerful people who signed the document? Or is it from the integrity of the process that created it? This case suggests the answer, loud and clear, is the process itself.